Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Americans Don't Understand English, the Jonathan Ross Show. I don't know what to think about this title. I don't know, like if it's jokey or something, but I don't know, I'm excited. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
Americans that I've thought about the language is that they say they speak English, but they've had to change it to make them understand it more. Go with me on this, because I've thought it through. They've changed some of the words. So they've taken the English language, but they've looked at some of it and they thought, no, I think we need a little bit more explanation here, okay? That's my American accent.
Okay.
So things like pavement. So they can't work with pavement, so they've changed it to sidewalk. Yeah. They needed more information. They needed to know where they were going to be walking so that they wouldn't get run over.
So that...
To me, the pavement is like the material, not the sidewalk.
I didn't think of that.
Pavement, sidewalk. So I think there must have been a period of time where they ran with the word pavement, but they kept getting hit by cars.
Yeah,
so they
that's
changed it to sidewalk. Now bear with me here, John, because I've thought this through. Yes. Bin, the word for bin. In American, waste paper basket. They needed to know not only what to put in it, they needed to know that not only it was paper, but waste paper, and that it goes into a basket. It's not just any paper. They kept throwing away fresh paper for a period before they introduced the word waste paper basket. You see, it's like they need instructions. Glasses for your eyes, they call them eyeglasses. They needed to know where to put them on their face, because they used to have glasses and they would put them on their thighs and they would put them on their feet and they would say, I can't see any
You have sunglasses as well.
better with their glasses. And then somebody went, no, they're eyeglasses. Well, why didn't you call them eyeglasses? There's a game called squash. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Not in America. Racquetball. It's a true story. They needed to know what they were going to be playing with, racquetball, and even then they get confused because there's no court. They don't know where to go. They just wander through the street going, I want to play racquetball, I want to play racquetball. So they're probably going to have to change that. But my favourite one, without a shadow of a doubt, is horse riding. Do you know what horse riding is in America?
Is it not called horse riding?
No. Horseback riding. They had to specify
It's in the bag.
area of the horse. Well, yes. There were terrible problems because there was a period of time when they didn't call it horseback riding.
Where did they go?
They used to hold on to the tail. And
Stop!
This is how they ride the horses in Europe.
No.
That's a whole different thing you're doing there.
Anybody who's watching this show who may have been flicking the channels, that's not a moment you want to...
No, stop.
No. This was a story about American and descriptive words.
I've never been in the Mile High Club.
So wait.
Harry, what are you waiting for? Come on, we know the answer. But, who was the closest to him in the band?
I think when we're in the band, yeah, maybe it was me. And, you know, I think we all kind of noticed that he wasn't thoroughly enjoying it, and we were. And, you know, it can be an intense job at times, and I think it got a little bit too much for him, and he wanted to be in a different place, and that's fair enough.
Okay, yeah, this is very funny. I don't think I've realized, like, how descriptive some words can get. I don't really know. I think it's always like, obviously it's a joke. They're kind of like making fun of this. However, I don't know. Like, I want to think of like, I'm like thinking of like more examples of this, because now I'm like, oh my god, I'm super curious about this, because again, it's like, oh, like the waste, like, yes, the waste basket, like it's a basket, yeah. But like, for instance, like the sunglasses, it's like, I think it just depends. Like, sometimes you're going to be like, oh, like, where are my glasses? You're not going to be saying, oh, like, where are my eyeglasses? Like, I think it just depends. Sometimes you kind of call it, like, glasses, and it just depends. You're not calling them, like, eyeglasses or, like, sunglasses every single time. So if you're, like, in Britain or just in the United Kingdom in general, you just say, like, oh, I'm looking for, like, a pair of sunglasses. Like, are people going to look at you weird because it's like, it's glasses? Why do you have to specify their sunglasses? It's like, well, because I'm differentiating between sunglasses and eyeglasses, because one thing is like I can't look around properly, and the other because I have like a poor eyesight, and the other is just like I'm shielding my eyes from the sun. So again, how are you like? I like how descriptive it is because it's like, yes, it's very like it's on like you have to tell me. Does it like obviously they're making fun of this and they're like, oh my god, they're so dumb that they have to like you have to actually like put the actual words in the actual not the actual words the description in the actual word. But I think it's just like better that way. It just like it allows for like less mistakes. Like the horseback riding, obviously, like yes, it's horseback riding. I have never thought of like why you call it horseback riding. I mean, if I'm like, oh, I have to analyze the word, it's like, well, yes, because you're in the back of the horse. However, it had never occurred to me that you just like horse riding. You just say like horse riding. I think it's just, well, I'm horse riding. I think it's just like, you're missing a word. You're missing the back. And you have to like horseback riding. I don't know. Again, it just depends. Actually, the pavement one, that's the one that I'm like, I don't know if it makes me dumb, but like to me, the pavement is, again, it's just like the pavement as in like, the pavement as in the concrete. Well, it's not concrete, it's asphalt, but you know, is the actual sort of like the material, the pavement. Oh, like my head like cracked the pavement, or you know, when you're in a car you're like sliding through the pavement. But you know, the sidewalk is where I'm walking, like so it's just like the separation between the pavement and there's just a sidewalk, like the street. Apparently, like in the United Kingdom, it's not like that. The pavement is the sidewalk. That would be very confusing to me because like if I'm listening to someone again saying like, oh, you know, like I was like, it was on the pavement. I'm like, well, a car's in the pavement. You know, so I'm expecting it to be like that. I'm not expecting like a car on the sidewalk. But apparently for them, the sidewalk doesn't exist and it's just pavement. I think like it can get confusing. I think the others are just like normal because like they're like overly explanatory, but this one is just like plain different, which I'm like, oh my god, what is it? I know that there's one that is like extremely different. I think it's like the trunk, as in like the trunk of the car, but in the United Kingdom I think it's like boot. Is it boot actually? I know they don't really refer to it as the trunk. I think it's the boot of the car, which I'm like, I don't really know why is it boot. Like to me the trunk makes perfect sense because it's on the back and it's sort of like a trunk, as in like you put stuff there. So it's like, yes, it's like in the trunk, like it can mean both things. It can mean like in the trunk as in the back, and it can mean also something, you know, where I put my stuff. So to me it makes perfect sense. But to me like the boot is like, what do you mean the boot? The boot of the car? Like what? I know I think I know what it means. Maybe I'm totally off with this and it's not boot, but I know it's not the trunk. So it is a little bit like it's a trunk, but no, not really. They don't really refer to it like that. I think that one makes perfect sense to me. But I think it's like very like, I don't know, it's kind of like a wonderful thing how like the language actually evolves between, obviously the British created this language, you know, British, I don't know what to call them, British, I don't know, the people that created the English language, you know, whether that's, you know, British, although obviously they have like a bunch of like different origins. But by the time it came to the United States and when it came to America, like I think it's just obviously the language evolves and it's constantly evolving, and it will evolve. Like who knows? Like if in 200 years we're still gonna be referring to like sidewalks as sidewalks or as glasses, because again things change, and I think it's just like a wonderful thing of like how language actually evolves, because it's just like a cultural sort of understanding that we have of like this is called this and this is called that, and you'll know because again we're all sort of like part of the same society and we have like the same cultural sort of understandings, and that's how it is. So I kind of like, I love it, and it's like, yes, of course that's how it evolves. But it's funny as well is that I thought, because I know that there's like which I think is more common, is that the things are not, you know, they have like different words for each other for the same things, but obviously they're called different. But I think it's just the spelling, which I think like I find very interesting, because there are a lot of words that I think are pronounced differently, not pronounced, sort of like spelled differently, and well, the spelling always is gonna be different, but the pronunciation always is gonna be different. They have different accents, but as in like how it's written, I think they're quite like they probably, I think the more common, well, yeah, there's like several of them, but like for instance like color, like I know that the UK spelling has like the O and the U, and it's going to like simplified in the United States just color, and there's like several of them that I think like they put like the O and the U, or canceled, which I think like it's technically, I can't remember the other one, but I think, you know, you tend to spell it with like two L's, but I know some people spell it with just like one L, although I think that's also like, I think it's rare. Like a lot of people, I know technically the American spelling is sort of like with one L. However, I think most people in this daily, they sort of like, no, you just spell it with two L's just because, I don't know, we kind of like took that from the British. And it was the one thing that I think they tried to like, they tried to change, but they couldn't. I think it can be sort of like maybe summarized as the American version is sort of like simplified maybe again, when it comes to spelling and writing. But when it comes to probably actual definition, it's oversimplified. It's over detailed. It's like, I don't know, it's like overly detailed with the whole eyeglasses or horseback riding. But when it comes to like spelling, it's like, no, we take a lot of like letters which we think like, no, it's like we're taking this out because it's like it's not really bringing anything to the table, which I find like really funny and quite interesting because it's like, I wonder how it came to be, of like, again, how it evolved to being this, or how the actual words evolved, like the word pavement to the sidewalk. It was like, no, I'm not understanding what you mean. That doesn't really make sense. We're just gonna call it sidewalk. It's like, okay, well, sure. And it took on, and we were like, yes, I agree. It doesn't make sense to call it. It doesn't make any stitch of sense to call it a pavement. It's a sidewalk. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.